December 2024, an AI scored 87.5% on a test that had been unbeaten for 5 years. Here is the strange part. That very same system on that very same test family also scored 4%. Same machine. Two numbers, more than 20 times apart. Nothing about its intelligence changed between them. What changed were two of the three dials that most people never see. By the end of this video, you will know where all three dials are, who is turning them, and why the most famous number in AI was never actually paid. First, the fall. The test is called ARC, the puzzle benchmark from our last video, built so that memorizing the internet does not help. For 5 years, nothing cracked it. 5 months of worldwide competition had crawled the record from 33% to 55%. Then, on a single afternoon in December 2024, OpenAI revealed a reasoning system called O3, and the ARC team verified a score of 87.5%. 5 years of wall, gone in one announcement. The man who built the test called it a surprising and important step function increase in AI capabilities. Now read the footnotes with me. Footnote 1. The score came from the semi-private question set, not the sealed private set the grand prize is judged on. Footnote 2. The system generated over 1,000 candidate answers per puzzle, 172 times the compute of its own cheap setting. Footnote 3. OpenAI said this version had been trained on 3/4 of the public training puzzles. And footnote 4, only the cheaper run qualified for the public leaderboard, which caps a run at $10,000. The 87.5 was, in the ARC team's own word, expensive. The eligible score, the one that counted, was 75.7, still historic, just a different sentence. Now the bill. The numbers everyone quotes are thousands of dollars per puzzle, hundreds of thousands for the record run. On announcement day, the record run had no price at all. Where its total should have been, the page printed a dash and a note that pricing was still to be decided. Within hours, a commenter multiplied the cheap run's published bill by 172 and got $346,000. A blogger ran the same arithmetic on a different run and got over $1 million. A peer-reviewed paper later reprinted the first figure as if the ARC team had said it. They never did. Their own page today says 456,000. Only one number has never moved. 172 times the compute. Here is where the story stops being about OpenAI and starts being about the man on the other side. Francois Chollet did not defend his fallen test. He verified the result, called it genuine progress, and in the same breath wrote, "I don't think O3 is AGI yet. O3 still fails on some very easy tasks." And 2 weeks before the fall, his team's own report had conceded in writing that enough compute could simply buy the 85% target. They were wrong about how. They were not wrong that it was for sale. 4 months later came the twist that should be taught in every statistics class. The O3 you could actually buy in April was a different animal, tuned for chat, running on smaller compute tiers, and, unlike the December version, not directly trained on those ARC puzzles, though the RC team says indirect exposure is likely. They tested it. Same name on the box. 41% on the cheap setting, 53% in the middle. The record had been set by a machine nobody could buy, and a configuration nobody could rent, and the version you could use scored between half and 2/3 of it. A benchmark number belongs to a configuration, not to a product. So in March 2025, Chollet made the price part of the test itself. The second version of ARC put cost on the leaderboard, right next to the score, and his argument fit in one line. Intelligence is about finding the solution efficiently, not exhaustively. Under that rule, the frontier collapsed. The same system's cheap setting, the one that had scored 75.7 on version 1, was projected at just 4%, and even at full compute, the ARC team's own estimate was 15 to 20. His guess that version 2 would hold O3 under 30% came true with room to spare. Meanwhile, every single task was solved by at least 2 people from a public panel, at about $17 per puzzle, though the average panelist got about 60%. Then the world took its best shot, with the money dial locked. Through 2025, 1,455 teams competed under a hard compute cap on the sealed private set. The winning score after a full season, 24%. And the ideas that got there matter more than the number. The year's lesson was the refinement loop, a loop that keeps rewriting a candidate program against feedback. The top paper prize went to a network of just 7 million parameters, beating models more than 10,000 times its size. And the report documented a model reciting the test's own color codes nobody had shown it. The wall between memory and reasoning leaks? Which brings us to the newest version, the interactive one from our last video. At launch in March 2026, humans completed every environment. Frontier AI scored about half of 1%. Then, on July 24th, a new model posted just over 30% on the semi-private set, verified by the ARC team. The man who built the test needed just 2 words, impressive jump, 4 months, 60 times the score. If you saw our last video, this is the number we told you was climbing. It still is. So has AI beaten ARC or not? Wrong question. Look at the two leaderboards. With an open wallet, Frontier systems now score over 90% on version 2, the test that broke them 16 months ago, at $1.44 per puzzle. Under the compute cap offline, the last finished competition topped out at 24%, and this year's capped leaderboard is already past 60, provisional on half the hidden tasks with months still to run. Nearly solved if you can spend, merely hard if you cannot. A year and a half ago, impossible either way, and the real story hides in the price. The top score fell from an estimated thousands of dollars per puzzle to a measured dollar and change on a harder test in 19 months. The score tells you little, the price collapse tells you everything. Now the strongest objections, because they are good ones. 1. ARC was built to resist brute memorization, yet version 1 fell to massive compute plus training on its own public puzzles, beaten by the method it was designed to resist. 2. These are visual puzzles fed to the machine as text. In late 2024, one researcher doubled the grids on 39 puzzles a small model had solved, and 31 of them broke, while human solve rates do not track grid size at all. Newer models pushed that ceiling up. The question stayed, how much of this gap is intelligence, and how much is eyesight? 3. Worth knowing, Chalet co-runs his own AGI lab, the Prize Foundation's largest disclosed donor, and both founders sit on the foundation's board, disclosed on their own sites. But here is the moment that won us over. In March, a critic laid out, numbers in hand, why the new version's scoring flattered the benchmark. 20 days later, the ARC team shipped changes fixing 2 of the things he named, crediting their own data rather than him, and the rest of his list stands. The instrument corrected itself, in public, in under 3 weeks. Step back, and the pattern is the point. Every version of this test has fallen, or is falling, and each fall names the thing that just became cheap. First, search at any price. Then, search on a budget. Now, exploration itself. But one box has stayed empty through all of it, at least 85% on a sealed private set under the compute cap with the code published open source. 3 years. 3 separate 6-figure bounties. Never claimed. This year, that bar became a bonus prize that rolls forward until somebody takes it. When that box finally gets ticked, the fall will name whatever comes next. This is the 2nd episode in our series on the people redefining intelligence. The full free AI course is on the channel. Subscribe, and you will never read a benchmark headline the same way again.